Hello and welcome to another mini Masterclass Thursday. It is it's July 25th, and so we are already at the very end of July. How this is happening, I don't know. I feel like time is moving in absolute warp speed, and that's just a definite older person thing to say. I can remember my grandparents and my parents saying the same things, and so now here I am saying every year gets faster and faster, but oh my gosh, it really does. So we're almost at the end of summer. Technical summer. I mean, summer will last until September 21st, and depending where you are in the country, it may even last until December 21st, weather-wise. But as what we want to focus on today, what we're going to talk about today, is utilizing this sort of maybe downtime or time of year where we kind of all throw out the seriousness of business, if we can. Some of us can't, but if we can, to go play, go camp, go hike, go see friends and family, go travel, just take some time, and do all the things we want to do instead of all the things we have to do. However, this is really such an impactful time, or could be, for the future benefit of your business if you use it strategically, because you don't have as much going on, because there's less deadlines, because you're not in the thick of taxes and all of that. If you use this time to really strategically plan for not just this year, but even now starting to plan into 2025, you will thank yourself, and it will take far less of your effort and energy to do it than when you're in the midst of all the chaos of the holidays, of back to school, if that applies to you, of the new year, of all those things. So I want to take a look at just several ways you can use this time of summer, to start planning, do some planning, be proactive in your business. So first and foremost, I have my notes right here. So if I look over at the camera, away from the camera, that's all I'm doing, looking at my notes. And so first of all, let's talk about your budget. Did you even make one? Have you made your budget for 2024? And if your answer is no, it's actually not too late. Of course, you won't have the result of understanding how you did in the first 6 months of the year or the first half of the year with, how you budgeted, but you could also still know what you wanted those numbers to be. You just never took the time to really put it down, right? So you can look at now, okay, what do I do with my budget? I never did it in January, but now we're in July, almost August. Put it in now. Get it in there. Get it in, and in there I mean your accounting system, in particular QuickBooks Online. Get it in there, because you still have the option then to run a budgets to actuals. You can still see how you're doing against how you wanted to do or how you projected you'd be doing. That's still valuable information, and there's still enough of the year left that you can use the results of that exercise to actually make strategic business decisions. You can also then look at, do we need to redo this? Is this even realistic? Is it feasible? Have we way overestimated on what we could do this year and we need to rein it back? Or do we underestimate this year and we need to okay, let's bump our projections because we're doing far better than we thought we would or we could, or whatever the cases are. You also might have brought in a new product or service that when you originally made your budget, whether you used it or not, that you may not have had. So you can adjust for, okay, but now we have this thing we're selling, a product or a service that has additional costs. It's got additional marketing. It's got costs we didn't realize would be associated with it when we originally made this budget. So let's update. A budget is a living, breathing tool. It is not just a one-time set it and forget it, and if you didn't make it, oh well. You really want it to evolve and change with your business. You want to use it as a way to understand how and where you can make strategic changes. For example, one of my customers, we sat down and we looked at a budget, and we realized that her merchant service fees were really high. And, they were in the 3 percentile, because that's That's average, right, for most merchant providers. So it was one of the numbers we pulled out from looking at historicals to say, we want to bring this number down. How can we bring this number down? So we strategized about how we're going to bring it down. Well, her point of sale system offers a feature to pass on the fees to her customers, and then she only has to pay a small percent of those fees and then the monthly subscription. So we were able to do that by looking at those numbers and analyzing, yeah, we don't want this to look this way, because the more she sells, the higher and higher those fees we're getting. So we were able to bring her fees down literally over 80%. Over 80%. But now when she looks at her budget, she sees, oh, I'm way under budget because I budgeted based on that old number. I need to rearrange my budget now, and I can track for, this is where I realistically want to be. It's exercises like that making sure you do your budgets, whether or not you're late, will get you those results. So adjustments can always be made up or down depending on how your business organically changes, because it does. It's never going to be the same from day to day, from year to year, from month to month, from quarter to quarter. Things happen, lives happen, viruses happen, weather happens, seasonality happens, employees happen. There's so much that goes into a business that you just can never be concrete on it. So make sure it's always a working tool evolving with you and for you. Have you decided to hire or fire unexpectedly? So you would need to then adjust your budget to compensate for extra payroll dollars or less payroll dollars, or benefits or training or employee considerations like their email address, their equipment, anything that's related to you hiring or firing, you would want to adjust for if you didn't have it in a plan where you said, okay, in third quarter, we're going to increase the team, or in second quarter, we're going to pull back. If you didn't have that in the plan and you didn't budget around that, you definitely want to now update if you've decided to do either one of those activities, because it will greatly impact where you see your profit margins, where you see your spending, and how you're judging against it. Because if you're showing you're like way under budget on the payroll, you might feel free to hire. But what if you didn't take into consideration that you're also reduced in sales, or you're also increased in another area that prevented you from being able to have the payroll dollars to spend? So that's what you want to do there. Have there been conferences, expos, travel events, any kind of business related event that is either popped up or you forgot about, or you really didn't budget against because maybe you've gone a couple times and you just didn't realize that needs to be budgeted for? Maybe you've decided to offer it as a benefit to your employees, and now you're going to be taking additional employees or sending additional employees than you had planned to these conferences. That's usually just you. You want to increase the budget around that, or you could create your own individual budget for that particular event. And this can be a working event. This can be a retreat that you give your employees as a benefit. This could be additional paid time. This could be training. This could be any kind of event where you didn't really know or expect it originally, and now it is going to happen. And you want to budget around it. You want to see how this affects your numbers, because it will. Once you have to start sending people and paying for meals and lodging and travel and tickets and all those things, you'll see a very big increase in your expenses, and you want to make sure you understand how that impacts your bottom line. Also, you want to understand what the ROI or return on investment from these activities would and should be for you. So for example, if you send one of your employees to a learning activity, a conference or something, you want to know, okay, it's going to cost me, let's just say $3,000 in total to send someone to this event. I need this event to execute a return on my investment of at least, 3 times, right? Hopefully 3 times. So you want to understand, did you make $9,000 as a product of sending this person to this event? And how could you do that? You can do that through them increasing their skill set, which allows them to gain a bigger audience, what allows them to talk to a more prosperous client, allows them to buy back their time, because now they know how to bring technology in, and they can do a lot more revenue generating activities instead of being stuck doing things manually. There's so many ways you can go about understanding what that event should bring you as an ROI, but if you don't budget for it, you have no idea what it looks like for that to be a successful event that you spent your money well on. You're not just spending the money to be nice and send people away to stay in a hotel for a week. You're sending them there to better your business. So looking at that budget and understanding the numbers would help you do exactly that. Marketing. If you've brought in a new product or a new service, or even just a new marketing campaign, a new marketing agency, you started doing marketing and you've never done marketing before, you wouldn't probably have ever had that in a budget, because it's not been a historical expense that you thought of or you needed. Add that, update that. If you're bringing in a new product or service, it's going to need a launch, it's going to need research and development, it's going to need hours before it launches to work on it, it's going to need manpower, it's going to need marketing, all the things. You didn't market for that event initially because you didn't even know you were going to do it. Or this is a brainchild of yours that finally came to fruition, but you didn't budget for it because you, for whatever reason, didn't do that. So make sure you're allowing for adjustments around things like that as well. It is very normal in business for the first to fifth year of a launch of a product of any kind to be a loser, to lose money, because you've got to spend so much money up front in payroll dollars, in hours, in marketing, in lead generation, in softwares, in content creation, in any of those things to get it out to the public and have it become revenue generating. So don't be alarmed if what you're seeing by adding all this in after the fact is that you start to see your numbers dip. That is totally normal. But the only way to know how to get out of that is to actually look at the numbers and understand where the extra expense is. What are one-off type of expenses that will not continue over time? You can kind of gauge that. You can see, okay, we were at a 15% margin, but we did bring in this new thing. Now our margin is at like 3%, but we had this one big front load software expense that won't happen again. So if we removed that, we're really at 8 or 9%. So we're not as far off as we thought we were. It's information like that you can glean by studying those numbers, but you've got to put the dollars in so you can see what your budgets to actuals are producing. You budgeted for 20,000, you got 50,000 instead. Whoopsie, but where is that 30,000 gone, and how does that impact the rest of your year? That might impact distributions between officers at the end of the year. That might impact cash flow. That might impact hiring, firing. That might impact, okay, well, we are spending all this money, we've got to bump our margins over here. So you're impacting your sales and your margins and your pricing. It impacts a lot. So that's why we want to look at them. Okay, it is Q3, right? We want to plan Q3 out. If you didn't do it into Q2, that's okay. But now we're almost a month through. We're a third of the way through Q3. You want to do your strategic planning. You want to do your budgeting. You want to, if you haven't done it already, get it in there. Adjust it if you have and you need to, but you do your planning. Your planning for Q3 is actually going to help you be successful in Q4, because you'll understand, did you hit your targets in Q3, yes or no? Then what do we need to do in Q4 when we plan for Q4? You should really start this month also planning Q4 or planning for Q4, putting those meetings in place, putting those ideas in place. So if you're looking at, I haven't even done Q3 yet, maybe you never did Q1 or Q2 either, it's not too late. It's never too late for you to just pick up the ball and start running with it, because it's going to impact you positively long time down the road if you just do it whenever you can, right? So that's what I really want to enforce. Don't feel like, oh crap, it's a loss because I haven't done it even all year yet. It doesn't matter. The minute you do it, it starts putting you in a position to know your numbers better, understand what's going on, and make strategic moves. So start planning Q3 if you haven't already. If you have planned it, start tracking your KPIs or key performance indicators against what those plans were. Where did you want to be with sales? Where did you want to be with marketing? Where did you want to be with payroll? Was there a big event that was either on deck or you needed to back away from because of your numbers? Was there a product launch? Was there a new contractor you started work with? Was there a new scope that you launched with your same partners, but just a whole different type of work you're doing? Whatever those was, did you hit those targets? If not, let's figure out why and fix it. Or let's figure out why and update for Q4. Start planning for Q4 now, meaning let's set a Q4 planning session in September, because that will only be 1 month away from actual Q4, so that by the time October hits, you've got everything in line. Who's doing what, when, what are their deadlines, what are your targets, what's the result you're aiming for, how does it impact you going into budgeting for 2025? Oh my goodness. Yep, I said it, budgeting for 2025. As soon as you know your numbers for 23, no, that would be 2 years ago, for 24, which is the year we're in, as soon as you know those, and you can gauge against those, that's when you know how you want to move into 25. Do you want to increase, decrease? Do you want to cut back? Are you good where you're at? Are you closing your business? And in order to do that, you need to pay off a bunch of your debt. So this is where we need to do. What do we need to cut out in order to save money so we can pay off the debt faster? All of those things. So by you putting this year into motion, even if you haven't done it already, you are helping yourself get 25 going and understand what you need in 2025 to be on target for your goals, whatever those might be. Summer is great for the fact that we have less, not all of us, but some of us have less stress and less things happening and less balls moving in the air around us. Take some classes, go get some education, take some budgeting classes, take some strategic planning classes, search for what's out there and put yourself and or your team in the education so that when you aren't as free schedule-wise, you don't have to scramble then, because you already put yourself ahead of the curve by doing the education when you could now. Now, that being said, I know it's not possible to take every single class on demand, but you could research what classes you want, research which education you want, see when it's about to happen. Now I can calendar for that ahead of time. I can budget for the expense of whatever it is, or adjust the budget if I didn't know or think I wanted to take this class earlier. I can start putting it in motion so that nothing's going to come up. If it's on my calendar, this was already an event I had scheduled, I'm going to do it. We're not waiting until the month before or the week before and going, well, I wish I could have taken that because it would have been nice, but I'm too busy now. So take this downtime to either research and or take educational classes that will help you and or your team in your roles in your business. Don't wait until the last minute, which is already almost here, to think about your 2023 taxes if you're on extension. So if you're a corporation or have taken the S-Corp election, your taxes are due September 15th, not October 15th, which means on August 15th, you should have everything you can completely wrapped up and confirmed as accurate for 2023. All your paperwork, all your numbers, everything should be ready to go to the tax preparer no later than August 15th, which is 1 month before the deadline. And a month might sound like, oh, that's plenty of time. It isn't. Tax preparers are so bogged down, are so overworked, understaffed. The tax laws are crazy. They're trying to do their continuing education right now too in a slump. The earlier you can get them your taxes, the better. I have year over year seen people wait until, let's just say, even August 1st, but more like September 1st, and think that they're going to send their tax preparer information. Their tax preparer is like, sorry, I can't help you. I cannot fit you in. I have a stack this tall that's on my desk that's been way before you, so you're going to the bottom of the stack. If you're on extension and you miss your deadline, there are significant penalties if you owe, on top of the fact that you were already going to get interest and penalties because you didn't make your payment on April 15th, or you didn't make the entire payment, whatever the difference was. So don't be late and put yourself in a position that you might be an audit trigger or something else because of the fact that you're late. Don't wait. Don't expect that your tax preparer can just slide you in. Some may be able to. Most cannot, and I promise you, I work with tax preparers all over the country. It's not like a regional thing or a big city thing. It is an industry thing that you want to give them what you can ASAP. I have a question, and I'm so excited. Hi, Sam. Do you know any budgeting or strategic planning classes that we can sign up for in September? I don't off the top of my head, but I'm certainly happy to find out for you. I do know of, in September. You know what? I might. Let me get back to you. I'll have Lauren email you. I'm pretty dang sure I do know of one. If not, I'll find out when the dates are and I'll still reply. But thank you for asking. In January, I do know of one that happens every January. I highly recommend it. I actually take it, and I will take it every year. I've already been scoping out her website to see when it is so I can put it on my calendar. It's amazing. It's incredible. It's well worth it. So I will find out and I will message you. Thank you for asking. Okay, planning ahead for 2025. We already said that. Tax planning. Okay, speaking of taxes, maybe you're not on extension. Maybe you got your taxes done. Maybe you are, though, and it's still okay. If you haven't filed 23, it's okay to still do tax planning for 24 and 25 because it's going to come up, right? Get with your tax preparer on doing tax planning. This is different than budgeting. This is not transactional. This is big picture. How do I save more tax money? How do I put myself in a position to get more tax credits? How can I do strategic things in my business to take the maximum opportunities available to me from a tax perspective? Budgeting that I was talking about prior is more like income and expenses. Now what I'm talking about with tax planning is taking advantage of programs, of regulations, of different things you can do. For example, I have a customer who was making a ton of money, right? He was doing really, really, really well. And you know what that means? He was going to pay a lot of taxes. So he met with a strategic advisor and he went out, a tax planning advisor, and the tax planning advisor was like, you need to buy assets. You need to offset this income with assets, and we will take upfront depreciation, which at the time was 100% was available, and we will take all the depreciation at once. It will offset your tax liability. The tax preparer was able to get his tax liability down from over $100,000 that he was going to owe in taxes to $8,000. All above board, all realistic, all legal, but the tax planning did that because they could look at the numbers and say, oh, you're making a lot of money. Oh, we need to do something about this. You do it after the fact. It's not a transaction that happened in that calendar year, so you cannot use that purchase as an offset for that year's taxes. So if you wait and you just talk to your tax preparer after the fact and then they go, oh, we could have done this for you, but you didn't bother to let us know, that's what's going to happen. So tax planning is super important. Third quarter, fourth quarter, perfect time to do tax planning. You can look at your numbers now. You can see where your trends are going. You can look at your budgets to actuals if you have those. You can look at what you've got on deck for the rest of the year. They can make strategic moves. They have formulas, they have programs, they have all kinds of things, questions they'll ask you to help them analyze what you may want to do. You may want to get retirement accounts going. You may want to hire a family member that you can get a write-off for their payroll dollars, but all your money is staying in the same pot, but you still get credit for it. all kinds of strategic ways you can use tax planning. I highly advise it. You need to make your appointments now. Don't wait until September, October, and then think that all your tax people are going to have all this extra time in the middle of tax extensions to do tax planning. They may get you in November. It may be too late for you in November to have made some of the moves you could have made had you done it sooner, but definitely do it before December, so that you know for this year you can take advantage of any and every possible scenario. Also, doing that will give them a way to tell you, okay, in 25, this is what we want to do, so that you put yourself in this position or that position. They then can work with your accounting professional, or you if you're doing it for yourself, to let them know, hey, we're going to take advantage of this thing, or we're going to add this to their tax picture, their big picture for their taxes. So we need to do record keeping this way now, or we need to make sure we're capturing this, or they need to flip how they're doing something. That's where we can work with the tax preparer and help you put yourself in an advantageous tax position and know what we need to know to help keep you on that path. So tax planning, 100%, take advantage. Start trying to get appointments now, because you'll probably have to wait 3 and 4 and 5, potentially 6 weeks with tax extensions coming up. That way you get it on the calendar and you don't miss out. Okay. Book appointments now. I already said that. Plan asset purchases. That would be a tax planning situation. They'll be able to offer that information to you if that's right for you and it fits the normal and ordinary course of your business. And then decide on, we've got to divide and conquer here. We've got to strategically plan in your corporation, in your company, who's doing what. Do you need to delegate tasks? Do you need to stick certain people on certain things so it can actually get done because you're at capacity and you can't do it? But you will lose out if you don't use the team around you or build a team around you that can do some of these tasks, get it done. That could be just your admin getting on the phone and making these tax appointments because you just can't make it happen. Her or him doing that thing could save you tens of thousands of dollars because you won't miss a tax planning appointment. Delegate it. Just say, hey, I need you to get this done. Then you will benefit from the fact that it actually got on the calendar, right? Instead of saying, crap, I was too busy and I forgot, or I never prioritized. You could put a marketing team, deploy a marketing team and say, hey, we've got this product launch. It's not doing as well as we need. We need to bump our marketing. You need to fix that. Here's where I want it to go. Delegate. Divide and conquer and delegate. And those are my notes for today. So I'm hoping this was helpful in helping you understand how you can take advantage of this time during the summer when you may have less going on to really push and make your life easier in the coming months, because it's not going to get easier after summer's over. It's going to get harder again, right? It sucks because we're all in holiday mode. Nobody wants to do anything. Businesses are busy. People are spending their money in other places, so they may not be spending it with you, so your income may dip or it may be taking off. Thank you so much. She said wise words. I appreciate that. But you need to know all that so you can put yourself ahead of it. Super appreciate all of you joining us or coming back and watching the replay. You can also find us on YouTube and LinkedIn. We will see you in 2 more weeks for another mini masterclass, and we hope you have a wonderful summery weekend outside doing lots of cool things or just hanging with family and friends, and we'll talk soon. Bye.